Hello, I'm Maggie O'Brien, and I'm pleased to welcome you to today's webinar on enhancing remote summer learning with performance tasks. This session is hosted by Define Learning, an online project-based learning solution for K-12 educators. Before we begin, I just have a couple of housekeeping items to go over. First, if you are experiencing any audio issues, please check the audio settings on your computer as well as your speaker volume settings. If you are still having issues, please visit support.goto.com/webinar, where you can find a detailed audio troubleshooting file. That's support.goto.com/webinar. To submit a question for our speakers, please type them in the Q&A box located above the resource list window. We will respond to questions via email within the next 24 hours. Finally, an on-demand archive of today's presentation and a download version of the PowerPoint slides will be emailed to you in the next 24 hours. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to introduce our speakers for today's webinar. Laura Hirsch is the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction for Crete-Monee School District. Laura has served in this capacity since 2007. Prior to that, she was an elementary principal and assistant principal. Jontel Perkins is the Director of Teaching and Learning for Crete-Monee. She has over 16 years of educational experience as a classroom teacher and administrator. Michelle Robinson serves as a 5th grade teacher for Crete-Monee and has taught grades 2nd through 5th for the last 10 years. Doreen Bergman, Director of Educational Programs for OCM BOCES, oversees a team of administrators and teacher trainers that provide 23 school districts with professional learning opportunities. Her team also runs a regional summer school program that provides services to over 5,000 students each summer. And Dr. David Reese serves as Chief Academic Officer for Define Learning. During the past 20 years, he has served K-12 students as a science teacher, curriculum specialist, and central office administrator. Today, we will learn how they have incorporated performance tasks in past summer school sessions and how they plan to incorporate them in their remote summer curriculum this year. So welcome, everyone, and without further ado, I will let David take it away.
Thank you, Maggie. I'm excited to be here with you today as we talk about summer school and the ideas of what summer school will be. Excuse me. Summer school this summer is going to look potentially very different than it has in years past. And for most of us, we're trying to figure out what the best way is to do this to meet the needs of our students and meet the needs of our community. This summer, talking to people around the country, most of the goals for summer school are potentially to make up for lost learning during the time of school closures. There's also a hope to minimize the learning gaps for the students between the time they left school and the time they return to school, hopefully in August. There's also the idea of preparing students for the next school year in terms of getting them ready for their learning, their subjects, and also helping to engage them. And finally, there's also the idea of helping to keep students engaged while promoting social and emotional well-being, as schools have been doing throughout the stay-at-home orders around the country. In talking with school leaders, it appears that most likely there's one of 3 potential summer learning scenarios. Many schools are hoping to potentially do an in-person sessions later in the summer season with the idea that as mandates are lifted, students can get into school. However, many people also realize that that is going to be incredibly challenging and maybe unlikely. Many more school districts are looking at doing summer school in a completely virtual manner, with the idea of having students working online and targeting students who may need the engagement the most, students who received incompletes or minimally attended school during the quarantine, and also potentially using summer school for enrichment opportunities and helping students stay engaged, stay motivated, and have the chance to stay socially active. And finally, there's the opportunity for a blended model with multiple small groups. Again, this is dependent upon restrictions on group size and also the opportunity for students to engage in a school building. For us at Define Learning, we're working with a number of school systems to infuse project-based learning into the summer programs. Some of the reasons schools have chosen to work with us is really the idea of engaging students in authentic projects. And the main purpose for this is supporting content applications, helping students learn the content and apply the content through meaningful projects. It's also the idea of having students be able to utilize 21st century and workplace skills, having them engage in authentic learning, creating products and solutions to real world problems. And in doing so, again, applying content to help them as they move back to the classroom in September. Also, project-based learning provides the opportunity for teachers, caregivers, to provide ongoing feedback through formative and summative assessments, promoting student growth throughout the process. And finally, in our next slide, this is how we set up our structure. And an important part of this, which is why I wanted to share it with you, is very much the idea of chunking small pieces. Therefore, it's not overwhelming in the online environment. It's not overwhelming for the parents, for the students, and for the teacher. We begin with career exposure, which is basically the bridge between academic content and the project-based learning activity. Students are provided a scenario where they take on the role of a specific career, and they're going to solve the real-world problem for a specific audience. As they work to think about the problem solution, they're going to need to think critically. Having them collaborate is an excellent and awesome opportunity. As we've learned in the last couple of months, collaborating in the online environment can be very challenging, and even more so during the summer session. So we may have the students working more independently, but still supporting them through the teachers and caregivers. And finally, students can create their products and share with the teachers through a portfolio, and also provide a variety of reflections so that as the summer comes to a close, students and teachers will have a good understanding of the learning that has occurred and how it is connected with the classroom. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to introduce Laura Hirsch and her team from Crete-Monee School District. Laura?
Thank you, David. First, we'd like to thank Define Learning for the opportunity to participate in this webinar. We hope that our listeners find our information useful as they make decisions on how to provide summer learning. Crete-Monee School District 201U is a diverse unit district in South Suburban Chicago. With a little over 4,600 students, our student population is 61% African American, 21% white, 14% Hispanic, and 4% of our students identify as 2 or more races. We have a English learner population of about 3%, with Spanish speaking being the most predominant language. We are 68% low income. As you can see in the slide, we have 9 schools, beginning with our Early Learning Center. Then we have 5 elementary schools, 1 middle school, 1 high school, and an alternative school for our 6th through 12th grade students. Our early childhood program has achieved the Gold Circle of Quality by Accelerate Illinois. Crete-Monee is also home to 2 international baccalaureate schools. One of our elementary schools, Coretta Scott King, was the first primary years program authorized in Illinois, and that happened in 2008. Crete-Monee Middle School became an IB World School in 2019. IB programs provide an international education that focuses on academic rigor and inquiry, as well as personal development. Crete-Monee High School is an equal opportunity school focusing on access and equity in advanced placement classes. The school now offers the capstone diploma program. And in addition, our seniors attend school at our local community college where they earn college credit. And finally, our alternative school, Monee Education Center, provides students with coursework and hands-on business experience through an entrepreneurship program. 4 years ago, we chose Define Learning because it offered opportunities for project-based learning and career exploration. It aligns well with the philosophy of our IB programs, as well as our mission to increase academic rigor and student engagement K through 12. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle Robinson.
Hello, I'm Michelle Robinson. I was one of 3 educators to teach Define Learning the summer of 2018-2019. We were excited to work with scholars with Define Learning because it allows scholars to utilize 21st century skills, such as critical thinking, communication, collaboration, technology, and media. Our target were 4th and 5th grade scholars who were accelerated in their learning during the regular school year. We facilitated 3 project tasks: aquarium design, food truck entrepreneur, and aircraft design. Scholars were given a focus. They were told, as a new designer with a background in aquatic habitats, you want to win over the design and production team of the hottest new interior design firm in the Northeast United States. They want to hire someone who will add creativity and innovation to their production and design team. In order to be hired, you will have to create a model of a unique aquarium that can be maintained in a residential home or a commercial facility. You will also need to estimate the cost to create the full-size tank. You will also be asked to create various aquarium designs for which a specific volume has been requested by the consumer. Scholars were also given a driving question, and that driving question was, what factors must be considered when designing an aquarium? Scholars were placed in teams. They were able to choose whom they wanted to work with, and they were given a choice of products to perform along with this product. Cost analysis. Teams had to decide what materials they would need to create and what they needed to buy to put inside of the aquarium. They had to research different types of fish and the items they would need inside to make their ecosystem perfect for the fish they selected. They had to consider what types of food to buy, if they needed a heater or a cooler or light for their fish tank, and what kind of filter they would use. After the research, they created a spreadsheet of all the different items they needed for their aquarium. They researched the price for each and created a list to determine how many of the materials and fish they needed and the price of each, as well as the total aquarium cost. The next product was a presentation. They developed a 2 to 3 minute presentation using Google Slide. This presentation included the sample design and the volume of the aquarium, so they used math as well. They described the type of habitat and fish that could be contained within the aquarium design. They also constructed 2 prototypes of the aquarium. One we call the out-of-the-box box. So they were able to use materials creatively, things that you wouldn't think to use to build an aquarium. They had a really great time doing that project. The last product was the photo story, which was a slideshow using technology to display a variety of aquariums from around the world. Scholars researched the size of these aquariums and presented captions to show the dimensions of each and the potential volume of water that each could hold. They included an example of a fish and a plant that could live in each aquarium. They included the amount of room that would be necessary for the fish to live in that environment. They had an awesome time making all of those products. So I want to talk a little bit about our culminating activity. So as I told you, we did the aquarium design, the food truck entrepreneur, and aircraft. And part of all of those products, they were able to make prototypes. They made a prototype of their food truck, of the aquarium, and they made models of aircrafts, and they were able to show like what airplanes flew the furthest. And so we got together with parents and we invited our parents out to see everything that the scholars had worked on during the summer. And they put forth a performance and it went over very well. The parents were so grateful to see all that the scholars had worked on and they were proud to show. So I want to talk a little bit about the lessons that I learned or that we learned as a team. The first lesson was to trust the process. Scholars are going to get there. We also learned that less is more. With defined learning, there are multiple products that scholars can choose to focus on while they're working on the projects, but we soon learned that you don't need to do them all. You want to focus on a few and have the scholars really delve into what they can do. We also learned to use constructive feedback, and we needed it to be frequent. All learning wasn't on-task learning. So we were able to give scholars feedback and we had them set goals, daily goals, so that they knew exactly what they were working on and how much time they would need. If they had a day to work on a specific part of the portion or the time that they needed. And we felt that that was something that we really needed to invest time in. Lastly, we learned that sometimes scholars need encouragement to be creative. You would think that it's something that they readily do, but sometimes thinking outside of the box didn't come as easy, or they were a little skeptical to be creative, so they just needed that little bit of push. And once they had that push, they took off. And they really had a wonderful time with the defined learning activity. And with that, I will turn it over to Mrs. Perkins.
Thank you, Michelle. I think that the viewers will appreciate the fine work that went into the program last year. With that success, we wanted to build on last year, and given our circumstances, this summer, all of our sessions will be virtual. But we still wanted to keep students engaged and give them the support that our students need in small groups. And so we targeted our K through second graders who were recommended for summer school for additional intervention support. We also targeted our third through eighth graders who did not complete our state requirements during the extended school closure and earned a grade of incomplete, as well as some of the students that were recommended for summer school from their teachers. We feel like defined learning will continue to have and capture our students by investing them in the topics and having them to still build and collaborate with one another. Our format is that we have 2 sessions broken into 8-day sessions, and they are 45 minutes each day as our teachers meet with them Monday through Thursday. And there will be the accountability piece at the end where students will have their final presentation. Each day, teachers are going to start with a whole group launch. And then during the sessions, teachers will meet with their groups for small group, and then students will have time with their independent tasks. Our goal was, again, to enhance student collaboration, to keep our students social. One of the feedbacks that we've heard and we understand across the nation that we're hearing is that students miss one another, but we wanted to keep them as social as we can by seeing their teachers and their friends. And then to also provide hands-on learning with simple materials that they would have at home and still be able to be successful with the digital platform. So as we look at developing for the summer, we chose projects from kindergarten through first, from space travel to being a doctor, for second through third, naturalists to monarch butterflies in the region. Grades 4 to 5 are doing catering to wildlife biologists, and grades 6 through 8 have chosen performance tasks from food truck entrepreneur to the police officer investigator. And again, that hook of doing that career exposure is how we're planning to bring our students in. We're giving them the context with this real world experience. We're scaffolding and developing their skills in the small groups, and then they will present their final product. We're excited. Again, these products are going to go anything from a simple model of protective gear as a doctor to creating an accident report utilizing Newton's law as the police officer accident investigator. At the end, we will have a culminating video that our students will be able to share and that we will put on our district website. And I will now look to Laura.
So over the last 4 years, we have incorporated defined learning projects into all units at all grade levels. However, as we all know from our recent experience, the shift to remote learning is stressful if that's not something that you're used to doing. So we definitely wanted to put a support system in place for our summer school teachers to use the defined learning projects remotely. We began in May by providing an overview webinar. Teachers there learned about the remote learning support and structures that defined learning has put in place. And following the initial webinar, we had teacher teams then select their projects, which John Tell just discussed. Some chose projects that were connected to grade level curricula. Others chose projects that were different, something that maybe they thought students would be more interested in or something that interested them. Next week, we will have teams reconnect with defined learning just to touch base before we start. Between the two webinars, our teachers have had 6 hours of planning time. So now they've selected their projects and they've been planning the remote learning experiences. So next week we will connect and ask any follow-up questions, fine-tune learning plans, and then session 1 will begin on June 15th. In our summer school structure, we have an hour built in at the beginning of each day for teachers to collaborate and refine their learning plans, discuss with each other, because we know that doing this alone is not the best way to go. And then teachers will meet with students for 2 hours a day. Those meetings may be whole group, some may be small group time. But our ultimate goal, in addition to engaging students over the summer, is to have some carryover into classroom instruction for next year. We don't know what next year is going to bring. We don't know what our learning format may look like, but we want to make sure that our teachers have a takeaway from their summer school experience so that they're able to continue to use defined learning, whether it's during in-person instruction, in a blended environment, or in a remote learning environment. And with that, I'll turn it over to Doreen Bergman.
Good afternoon. So throughout the OCM BOCES region, we are really the education service agency that provides professional development and learning for teachers and students. So one of the things that we are focusing on this year across our 23 school districts and our students that will be attending summer school is ways to engage them in ways that they haven't been engaged in our traditional in-person summer school program. So when we first learned that summer school was still going to take place this year, because that was a little bit up in the air, we had planned, we had a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. So plan A would have been traditional in-school summer school across all 5 sites that work with students in grades 7 and 12. Plan B would have been a hybrid model where some of the learning was done online and some of it was in person. And then Plan C, due to an executive order from our governor that came 2 weeks, well, a little over a week ago, moved us totally into an online virtual summer school program. So this summer school will be built around a Google Classroom as the platform. There'll be synchronous and asynchronous activities, group daily meets, and the one thing that we really wanted to make sure that we did was focus on the priority standards for each course. So our course catalog includes courses in every English course, math course, science course, health, phys ed, as well as Spanish, and sociology, psychology. So we're looking at the summer as an opportunity to team students that normally would not be teamed in a summer school normal course that would end in a New York State Regents exam. So this year we really have the opportunity to hire teachers that are very innovative, to really run these courses and bring kids together in a way that engages them very differently than what we've been able to do in the past. So while we're building the bones of each of the Google Classrooms based on those priority standards, our focus is really on engagement, and that's where we really depend on our educational partners, such as those at Define STEM, to help us bring new and unique ways of learning across. One of our initiatives for years has been project-based learning. So we're really, really excited this year to be integrating the Define STEM process, the GRASS process in particular, in the design of the work that we'll be doing with students. So our teachers and students, and if we can go to the next slide, have certain expectations that we are building into each of the courses. So the Google Classroom, because we still were a secondary summer school, we still have accountability to the school districts and the state for the kids to earn their course credit towards graduation. So attendance is one of those things that has to be part of that. So the attendance will be done daily with a Google form that will have a daily activity related to either the performance task of the day, the topic of the day, the content, or the essential questions that they'll be working on. So that topic of the day attendance form will then, because it's being done in a Google form, will be able to be used to create a daily spreadsheet for attendance. Every day there'll be a 30-minute course class Google Meet that students will attend, but the really bulk of this is the asynchronous learning, and that's where a lot of the Define STEM activities and performance tasks will come in, because the kids will be doing inquiry projects, performance tasks, writing assignments, video response, interactive labs. It'll be across the whole gamut of what they would be doing in person if we had that opportunity. The nice thing about the projects and the cross-content collaborations are the opportunities for students to work in small groups, really focusing on either career exploration or community issues that they may want to explore. but the focus really needs to be on engagement for kids. So it's going to be passion of what they're interested in, as well as the fact that they'll be able to do this virtually in many different formats. We still have that accountability piece, so there will be weekly quizzes the kids have to take. There'll be a midterm and a final exam, but part of that will be the development of a portfolio of their work across the summer school program. So that portfolio of work will really be based in those performance tasks, as well as some other digital resources that we're using. The big piece is that office hours for our teachers, that'll also be required, that they are providing small individual, small group support, as well as individual. In our summer school, not only do we have gen ed students, we also have special ed students and our English as a new language students. So that support will be needed across all our content area. So that's sort of what summer school is going to look like in a synchronous and asynchronous format with those expectations. So if we want to move forward. The integration of the digital resources in these courses really required us to look at how we're going to build those Google Classroom courses. And we really look
Doreen, I think we've lost your connection a bit. Doreen? Okay, well, unfortunately, we'll hope that Doreen will hop back on, and when she does, I'll go back to her slides. In the meantime, I will take this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about Defined Learning. Defined Learning is an online K through 12 project-based learning solution that provides. Doreen, are you on?
I have no idea what just happened. I got booted out and it said that GoTo meeting was experiencing some issues. So I am back.
So sorry about that. Let's, so I'm bringing you back to this slide right here.
Yep,
so let's
that's perfect.
again, right here. There you go.
Sure. So I was talking about the way we're using the design process for the courses themselves. Then one of the focuses has to be on the priority learning standards. And PBL, our students will be doing work with some community solutions. But a big piece of this, because we are a secondary summer school, is on career exploration, which makes the Defined Learning platform and the performance tasks and the videos and the way we can customize the performance tasks.
Doreen, I think it cut out again on you, unfortunately. We'll give you another minute to see if it comes back. Okay, well, I will, let's see. I will just continue on with the Defined Learning piece again, and if she joins back, we'll just hop back again. So for those of you not familiar with Defined Learning, as I mentioned before, it's K through 12, and it provides engaging, authentic performance tasks that follow the Understanding by Design framework by Jay McTighe. Our interdisciplinary projects provide opportunities for students to deepen their understanding and build real-world skills and transferabilities they need for future success. We provide everything teachers need to implement and assess high-quality performance tasks. In addition, we provide an online student project and portfolio manager that allows teachers and districts to assess and measure student growth over time. You can gather data related to the career clusters students have been exposed to, the skills they have been working on, and data on standards growth over the course of their time with the district. We also offered professional development opportunities that range from in-person trainings to an online PD course written and narrated by Jay McTighe. Our engaging real-world projects create excitement about career opportunities and really empower students to build the future-ready skills they need to succeed in college and careers. If you would like to get started right away, you can get immediate access to our e-learning projects if you go to definelearning.com and just click on the free e-learning projects tab, or you can get a free 30-day trial if you click on the request a demo tab. Well, I'll check one more time with Doreen to see if she was able to get back on. Doreen, were you able to get back on? Okay, well, unfortunately, I think what we'll do here is we will follow up with all of you with an email with these PowerPoint slides, with a recording of this video, as well as the final points that Doreen was unable to say because of the connection issue. So we will follow up with you all with an email with this information in the next 24 hours. So that concludes our webinar. Thank you to everyone for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.